Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a topic that touches millions, yet is often, well, fundamentally misunderstood. Diabetes. Most of us, myself included, have grown up thinking of diabetes as simply a sugar disease, right?
Exactly.
That if you overindulge in sweets, you're sort of on a fast track to a diagnosis.
Yeah, that's the common thinking.
Well, get ready for some surprising facts today that might just turn that common belief on its head.
It's true. Our mission in this deep dive is really to cut through those common misconceptions, reveal the true causes, and often overlooked early signs of diabetes.
Okay.
And then equip you with practical insights for management. We'll even share a traditional natural tea recipe and a surprisingly delicious, healthy dish.
That's great.
That shares traditional Chinese medical perspectives on managing high blood sugar.
Okay, let's unpack this complex topic then. Starting with the unsung hero, or sometimes maybe the overworked protagonist of the story. Insulin. Most of us know insulin has something to do with blood sugar, but it sounds like it's far more intricate than just a simple on-off switch.
Oh, definitely. What's fascinating here is understanding insulin's normal rhythm. So imagine a yellow curve, let's say, representing a healthy person's insulin secretion.
Okay.
There's a baseline, or basal secretion. That's the constant low-level release of insulin, even when you're not eating.
Right, sort of ticking over in the background.
Exactly. And then you get 3 distinct peaks after each meal: breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ah, okay.
These peaks are when insulin surges to handle the incoming glucose from your food.
So that's the ideal, the healthy rhythm. But what happens when diabetes enters the picture? Is it always the same story for everyone?
Not at all. We see 2 main patterns, really. One is absolute insufficiency, where, as you might imagine, insulin secretion significantly drops.
So less insulin.
Yeah, picture a blue curve, maybe, where those peaks are much lower, and the overall insulin output declines. This leads to a reduced ability to control blood sugar because there simply isn't enough insulin being produced.
So less insulin means less control. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something about a counterintuitive scenario, where there's enough insulin, but it's still a problem.
Ah, yes. That's where relative insufficiency comes in, and it's truly intriguing. In these cases, insulin secretion can actually be higher than normal.
Higher.
Yes, higher. But the body's sensitivity to it is poor.
So it's like the insulin's there, but it can't do its job.
Precisely. It's like having the key, but the lock is jammed. The insulin is there, maybe even lots of it, but it can't effectively get the blood sugar into the cells.
So blood sugar still rises.
It does, despite the pancreas working overtime.
And this leads to something really remarkable about early diabetes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I always thought blood sugar had to be consistently high for a problem to be brewing.
Well, that's the surprise. What's truly astonishing is that in early diabetes, before blood sugar levels even consistently register as high enough for, a formal diagnosis, insulin levels can be soaring. Our source mentions that normal post-meal insulin might increase, say, 3 to 5 times over fasting levels.
Okay, that's the normal response.
But in early diabetes, even before the blood sugar gets consistently high, that increase can be over 10 times the normal fasting level after a meal.
Wow, over 10 times? That's truly remarkable. So it's like a silent battle for the pancreas, working overtime to compensate even before we see the typical red flags.
Precisely. This constant high insulin demand overworks the pancreas. Think of it like this. Instead of your pancreas, say, walking all day at a steady pace,
Right.
it's constantly running all day, nonstop.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And it leads to significant wear and tear and inevitably a decline in its function over time.
It's a silent, exhausting battle indeed. And it makes you wonder, if the pancreas is running itself ragged to keep blood sugar down in the very early stages, could that intense effort have a hidden risk of its own? Maybe hypoglycemia? Low blood sugar?
It absolutely can. That's a really important point because these insulin levels are so high and persistent in the early stages.
Right. They stick around too long.
Exactly. They don't drop fast enough after the blood sugar has been managed. So this can lead to episodes of low blood sugar before the next meal. Leaving you feeling unexpectedly weak or shaky. It's a clear signal that something is off, even if your main glucose readings aren't consistently high yet.
So it's running itself ragged to keep blood sugar down.
Yeah.
And speaking of things we often misunderstand, let's tackle that persistent idea that eating sweets directly causes diabetes. That's so ingrained, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is. It's a really common belief, but the source clearly challenges it. Diabetes doesn't have a direct linear relationship with simply eating sweets.
So it's not cause and effect like we think.
Not directly, and we have fascinating historical evidence to consider here. In the past, people consumed far more staple foods, the source mentions, like up to 15 kilograms. That's about 30 jin in the Chinese system.
15 kilos.
Yeah, of rice or flour per month.
Wow, 15 kilograms of staple food a month. That's a staggering amount compared to today.
It really is. Yet back then, diabetes incidence was incredibly low, around 0.63%.
0.63%. Wow.
Today, staple food consumption is much lower, less than maybe 250 grams or half a jin daily combined rice and flour for many people.
Much, much less.
But the incidence of diabetes has skyrocketed to 9.7%.
So the staple carbs went down, but diabetes went way up.
Exactly. The shift isn't really about sugar in isolation. It's about something else entirely.
So if it's not the sugar directly, what is the real culprit here? What explains that dramatic shift?
Well, the source points very clearly to obesity. The historical shift wasn't just less staple food, it was increased consumption of oils and protein.
Ah, okay, the overall diet changed.
Right. This change in diet has led to a dramatic rise in obesity rates, and that is what truly impacts insulin and pancreatic function.
How does obesity directly affect insulin? Is it just making the pancreas produce more, like we discussed?
It's about demand. Insulin has a crucial role in the body beyond just blood sugar control, you see. It inhibits gluconeogenesis.
That's the body making its own sugar.
Correct. And it also inhibits fat and protein breakdown. When you're obese, your body just needs a very large amount of insulin just to manage its daily functions and prevent these processes from going haywire.
So the baseline need is much higher.
Much higher. And this cumulative high demand wears out pancreatic function over time, much like our running all day analogy. The pancreas is constantly struggling to keep up.
This really changes the narrative from sugar is bad to something more like obesity creates a demand that wears out the pancreas.
That's a much more accurate picture based on this perspective.
So if we're looking for early warning signs, we shouldn't just be looking for the traditional symptoms, should we? Like the classics.
You're absolutely right. The traditional view of diabetes symptoms often focuses on the 3 polys and 1 less, as they say.
Which are?
Polyuria, that's frequent urination. Polydipsia, excessive thirst. Polyphagia, increased hunger. And weight loss.
Right. The ones we often hear about.
And those are certainly signs, but often of more advanced diabetes.
But the source highlights a crucial, often overlooked symptom that can appear much earlier, doesn't it?
Yes. What's often overlooked, and can be one of the earliest and most important signs, is decreased physical strength or persistent fatigue. Just feeling tired a lot.
Just tired.
Yeah.
Why does that happen so early?
It happens because even if your blood sugar isn't consistently high yet, your body's ability to utilize that glucose for energy is already impaired.
I see.
It's like your car has fuel in the tank, but it can't get to the engine efficiently, leaving you without enough gas to run properly.
So you might just feel constantly drained, even before any obvious blood sugar spikes show up. And it's interesting, we talked about weight loss as a later symptom. But weight gain is actually a significant risk factor.
That's a critical distinction to make. Weight loss tends to occur in later stages when the body can no longer properly utilize glucose and starts breaking down muscle and fat for energy instead.
Okay.
But weight gain leading to obesity is a primary risk factor because it's what puts that immense chronic burden on insulin production in the first place. It accelerates the wear and tear on the pancreas.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of risk factors, who should be particularly aware of these early signs and the potential underlying issues?
Well, there are definite high-risk groups to consider. First, if you have a family history of diabetes, especially direct family members like parents or siblings, you might have a weaker innate pancreatic capacity, just genetically speaking.
Okay, so family history is one.
Second, as we've discussed quite a bit, obesity significantly increases that pancreatic wear and tear.
Right, the big cart problem.
Exactly. And third, irregular eating habits. Things like binge eating or having really inconsistent meal times can disrupt the pancreas's rhythmic function. Well, think of it like constantly accelerating and decelerating a car really harshly instead of driving smoothly. It causes more wear than a steady, predictable drive. The pancreas likes rhythm.
That car analogy really helps visualize the internal stress. It also sounds like diabetes isn't usually a sudden onset disease, but more of a slow burn, a progressive condition.
That's a very important point. Diabetes is often referred to as a longevity disease, precisely because it's typically a slow, progressive condition. It means there's often a long window of opportunity, a chance to intervene and prevent severe outcomes if you pay attention to these early signs and risk factors.
So it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion.
Not at all. You have time to make a potentially profound difference.
That's incredibly hopeful, actually, especially for those who might fear a lifelong sentence of medication or insulin injections once diagnosed. Is that fear always warranted?
Well, the common belief that once diagnosed, you're automatically tied to medication for life.
Well,
It isn't necessarily true for everyone, not by a long shot.
really?
Yeah, the source shows a really compelling case study. It was a male patient, quite tall, 1.83 meters, and weighing 115 kilograms, that's about 230 gin.
Okay, pretty heavy.
And he was on 3 different oral diabetes medications.
That's quite a regimen. What happened to him?
Well, he managed to lose a significant amount of weight. He got down to 80 kilograms, which is around 160 gin.
That's a big change.
A huge change. And the result, he no longer needed any medication. His blood sugar was perfectly well controlled just through lifestyle.
Wow. Just from weight loss.
It perfectly illustrates the small horse, big cart analogy we touched on.
Explain that again.
If you're obese, your existing pancreatic function, whatever capacity it has left, is like a small horse trying to pull a big cart. It's struggling.
Right. Overloaded.
But if you lose weight, you reduce the load. That same small horse can pull a small cart perfectly well. Your pancreas, even if not at 100%, can then meet the body's reduced demand.
So for someone carrying extra weight, weight loss is truly the critical first step. It gives their pancreas that much-needed break.
Absolutely paramount. But what about non-obese individuals, or if someone isn't sure about their pancreatic function?
Yeah, what's the outlook there?
Well, for non-obese individuals, the source suggests that if their pancreatic function hasn't deteriorated by more than, say, 50%,
Okay.
the condition can still be very well controlled in its early stages, often without lifelong medication.
But how do you know how much function is left?
You hit on a key point.
Yeah.
Determining that internal pancreatic function really requires professional testing. It's not something you can easily observe externally. You need medical assessment.
Got it. This all points to the powerful impact of lifestyle changes, doesn't it? So what are the pillars of a healthy lifestyle for blood sugar control that our sources emphasize?
Well, the foundational advice remains absolutely key. Quit smoking, limit alcohol, maintain a balanced diet, manage emotions, stress plays a role too, and engage in regular, appropriate exercise.
The cornerstones of good health, really.
They are, but they're especially vital for blood sugar regulation and preventing that pancreatic overload we've been talking about.
Let's get specific on smoking and alcohol, as those can be particularly impactful, right?
Definitely. Smoking must be absolutely quit. Its detrimental effects on all body systems, especially cardiovascular health, are a major concern for anyone, but particularly diabetic patients.
No wiggle room there.
None. For alcohol, the advice is to limit it strictly for those who already drink. The source suggests amounts like red wine under 100 milliliters, liquor under 50 milliliters, or beer less than 1 standard can per day.
And if you don't drink?
Absolutely do not start. There's no health benefit to starting alcohol.
Okay. And what about diet beyond just avoiding sugar? What should we be focusing on?
Dietary guidance is crucial. The source suggests controlling staple food intake. For individuals with general activity levels, men might aim for around 300 grams per day. That's about 6 liang in the Chinese system.
Okay, 300 grams or 6 liang for men?
And women around 250 grams or half a gin per day. These are just general guidelines, of course.
And controlling oil?
Yes, crucially, emphasize reducing oil intake. That means less fried foods, fewer pan-fried dishes, and even being mindful of the oil used in everyday cooking. This directly helps with weight management, which we know is key.
Makes sense. And then there are your best friends. You mentioned that earlier.
Yes. Green vegetables are considered the best friend for diabetic patients, according to this perspective.
Why best friend?
Because eating large quantities of vegetables like cucumber, tomato, radish, cabbage, bok choy, spinach, rapeseed, things like that, is highly recommended. They provide volume, fiber, and nutrients without adding significant calories or burdening your system. They fill you up healthily.
Load up on the greens. Got it. That's a lot of helpful practical advice we can integrate into our daily lives. And because our source comes from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, they also highlight some natural aids, right? Like tea substitutes.
Precisely. The concept of daichayin, which translates roughly to tea substitutes, is seen as a beneficial way to maintain health day to day.
Interesting. And there's a specific blend recommended.
Yes, the recommended herbal tea blend features 3 ingredients: hawthorn, puraria flower, and Apocynum venetum leaf.
Okay, let's break down each of those. I know hawthorn a bit. It's often used in cooking, sometimes sweet things.
You're right, but here we're talking about pure, dried hawthorn fruit, not the processed, often sweetened kind you find in snacks. In traditional medicine, hawthorn aids digestion, helps dispel food stagnation, and promotes blood circulation.
Okay, so digestive and circulatory benefits. What about the puraria flower?
Puraria flower, or gehua, is traditionally known for its properties in, well, sobering up from alcohol, interestingly enough, but it also has a really pleasant, fragrant aroma.
And the third one, Apocynum.
Apocynum venetum leaf, or luobu maye in Chinese. This one is particularly noteworthy for our topic.
Why is that? What are the benefits of luobu maye that make it stand out for blood sugar?
It's lauded in traditional use for its ability to help lower blood pressure, blood sugar, and blood lipids. Plus, it also acts as a mild diuretic.
Wow, quite a range of benefits.
So when these 3 are combined, hawthorn, puraria flower, and luobu maye, it creates a really synergistic blend.
And how does it help with diabetes prevention or management?
This tea is thought to help prevent diabetes, especially for people who might be obese or have irregular lifestyles. And for general health, it can aid in lowering blood sugar levels.
How do you prepare it for daily use? Is it complicated?
Not at all. You simply brew them together, just like making a regular tea. A little tip from the source. Use just 3 to 5 small pieces of the dried hawthorn, as it has a natural sweetness that contributes nicely to the flavor without being overwhelming.
Okay, easy enough. What does it taste like?
It's described as refreshing, slightly sweet, and generally very pleasant. This makes it quite suitable for long-term consumption, maybe even as a replacement for plain water throughout the day.
That's a fantastic, simple addition to a healthy routine. And sticking with food. The source also introduces the concept of medicinal and food homology, this idea that food and medicine share common origins.
Yes, Yashi Tong Yuan, a core principle in TCM, the idea that food itself can be medicine.
And it highlights a specific food group.
It does. Mushrooms are highlighted as a key ingredient, particularly for this context, due to their antioxidant, anti-cancer, and potential blood sugar-lowering properties.
Versatile fungi. So what's the signature dish that brings these ideas to life?
It's a dish called mushroom and winter melon with jinhua ham.
Jinhua ham. That's a type of cured ham, isn't it? Sounds flavorful.
It is, very. It's a famous Chinese dry-cured ham. It adds this incredibly rich, savory depth to the otherwise quite subtle flavors of the mushrooms and winter melon.
So it balances the dish.
Exactly. It allows the flavors to infuse beautifully as they cook together. It sounds simple, but the layering of flavors is key to making it both healthy and delicious.
That sounds like a clever way to build flavor without relying heavily on, say, oil or sugar.
Mm-hmm.
How is it prepared? Walk us through it.
Okay, so first you slice the jinhua ham. Because it can be quite salty, you soak it in water briefly to remove some of that excess salt. Then you steam it for about 15 minutes to soften it and render some fat.
Okay, ham prepped. What about the veggies?
Next, you take your mushrooms shiitake work well. You score the underside gently. Don't cut all the way through. This helps them absorb flavor better. Then just blanch them quickly until they're slightly softened.
And the winter melon.
Cut the winter melon into fairly thick slices, maybe rectangular shapes, and blanch those too, just briefly.
So everything is prepped and blanched. Then comes the assembly and cooking.
Right. Now, in a hot pan or wok with just minimal oil, you saute some minced ginger and scallions until they're fragrant, but be careful not to burn them.
Get those aromatics going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then deglaze the pan with just a splash of Shuxing wine. Add a high-quality broth, chicken or vegetable, or if you don't have fresh broth, a little bit of good chicken essence works too. Now, add the steamed jinhua ham slices. And importantly, pour in that flavorful liquid that collected while the ham was steaming. That's packed with flavor.
Ah, don't waste the ham juice. Good tip.
Definitely not. Season it lightly with a little salt. Remember, the ham is salty, some white pepper, and maybe a touch of chicken powder if you like.
So the ham's liquid is essential for that deep, complex flavor. That's a great tip.
It is. It's where a lot of the magic happens. Then you arrange the dish nicely. Maybe the ham in the center, mushrooms laid over it, and the winter melon pieces arranged around the sides.
Presentation matter.
It does. Now, strain that seasoned broth, removing the bits of ginger and scallion, and pour the clear broth gently over the arranged ingredients.
Right.
Then you steam the whole dish for just about 5 minutes. This step is really just to meld all those wonderful flavors together gently.
Almost done.
Almost. Carefully remove the steamed dish. Pour the liquid from the steaming plate back into your pan or wok. Bring it to a boil, and then slowly thicken it with a cornstarch slurry until it's a nice light sauce consistency.
Finishing the sauce.
Right. Stir in just a few drops of sesame oil for aroma, and maybe a tiny bit of dark soy sauce for a touch of color. Then ladle that beautiful thickened sauce all over the steamed mushrooms, winter melon, and ham.
Wow. That sounds incredible. What a fantastic way to incorporate healthy ingredients like mushrooms and winter melon into something that sounds really gourmet and flavorful, using the ham for richness.
Exactly. It really underscores the chef's philosophy mentioned in the source that understanding nutrition and how to balance ingredients is so important in cooking, not just for taste, but genuinely for health.
It's truly about using food as medicine, which is such a powerful concept when you think about it.
It really is.
This deep dive has truly given us a new perspective, hasn't it? Diabetes is far more complex than just a simple sugar disease.
Much more nuanced.
It's a complex metabolic condition influenced heavily by factors like insulin resistance, pancreatic function, and definitely obesity. But here's the powerful takeaway, I think.
What's that?
It's often manageable and sometimes even, as that case study showed, potentially reversible in its early stages through informed lifestyle changes. It really transforms the diagnosis from what might feel like a dead end into more of a very clear fork in the road, presenting real choices for positive change.
That's exactly right. What's really important, based on everything we've discussed, is paying attention to your body's signals, especially those subtle ones like that unexplained fatigue, which can be a very early warning.
Don't ignore feeling constantly tired.
Don't ignore it. And proactively adopting healthy habits, controlling oil and staple food intake, really embracing those green vegetables, maybe even considering traditional remedies like that tea, it can make a profound difference in your long-term health trajectory.
Absolutely. So considering everything we've learned today about the body's really incredible capacity to adapt and sometimes even heal, here's something for you to think about. What small, consistent habit could you start today that might prevent years of future health struggles? Just one small thing. Think about it, and thank you for diving deep with us today.